sorry? He is not about to tell me? No, that's not what he's gonna say. The most satisfying mechanic in gaming by Daryl Talks Games. This was recommended to me after my last Twitch stream of God of War when I was very upset at the response, the shield response time, and the stab me in the heart pose of this so-called God of War. Like, legitimately though, he goes like this, stab me in the heart, end it. I'm having a very love-hate relationship with God of War, except it's more like sometimes like and hate relationship with God of War. Mostly because of the mechanics, I think. I don't know a lot about this stuff, as you guys well know, but what this was given to me, this video was given to me because I was complaining about the parrying and trying to like figure out how to use it. And that over the last day or so has got me thinking about why can't I jump on that? It's stupid that I can't jump on that, but there must be a reason why when I parry a millisecond too late because dad of boy is slow, do I stand there like this? Waiting for Wings Lady to stab me in the chest. You know? Why? There must be a reason. So maybe Daryl will help me understand, and I will learn about the most satisfying mechanic in gaming. But before we get into that, thank you so much to my channel members. If you would like to make sure your comment is seen by me, or just to support the channel, which you're already doing by watching this video, but even more, please become a channel member by clicking the join button. Also, if you did not already know, I am a self-published author, and these are my books. After watching my No Man's Sky video, I say they're just fine. They're fine books. They're just fine. They're not the best book. They're not the worst book. Just buy them and read it and decide for yourself with no expectations. They won't be getting 22 upgrades. Patches. Actually, there is a typo that I will be fixing in one of them, but that's besides the point. Magic required and dominion required follow the story of a Celtic demigod trying to seek a redemption he is not sure he deserves. Bloodkin and Curses follows a newly turned vampire as she goes to magic school. Actually, it's just normal school. The students are magic, but the school is normal. And she learns stuff, and it's great, but not so great. But great, but like, fine. Make your own choices. They are available as ebooks, audiobooks, and paperback. Thank you so much if you have read them. Thank you even more if you've reviewed them. And if you're just here to watch me learn about what is the most satisfying mechanic in gaming, let's dive in. Oh, Daryl, teach me something fun.
I love moments in competitions like this. Or this. Or even this.
That one I understood. I don't understand that one. I only understood this.
Or your team's chances of winning to all at once feeling like anything is possible.
Oh, okay, I get that.
Whether it was a clutch comeback in a match online or stealing a grab out of nowhere into a combo you've been practicing, it's euphoric to all at once go from a state of doubt and worry to a state of triumph and confidence. The Uno reverse card, the magic
reverse,
the reversal, the no you.
Oh!
And I don't think any one mechanic
no
in
you
more perfectly encapsulates this sensation than the parry.
Except I fucking hate it!
Parrying, countering, whatever you like to call it, it's all the raw emotion and thrill of a comeback concentrated into one blissful instant of fury. Several games
I don't feel that way.
It feels like electricity flowing through your veins every time you pull one off, and you're going to be seeing a lot of them throughout this video.
I mostly don't understand what it is, so maybe that's why.
Nearby. Today, I'd like to take a look at the psychology behind what makes them so special. What makes a good parry? How is it so satisfying? What does the psychology of gambling have to do with it? And could pulling off a counter actually boost your subsequent performance
No, no,
if you've been here for a while,
no,
you'll
it
know that
can't.
we always discuss psychology and gaming, but today, honestly, I'd also just like to send a love letter to the parry, to interceptions, to clutch counters, and monumental momentum shifts. So if I stop to gush, just indulge me.
I will. I'll
And then
indulge
crucify me
you
in the comments
anything.
because I didn't talk about Sekiro enough. Let's dive into the psychology of the counter and talk about what makes that perfectly timed input feel so damn good.
I feel literally nothing. Don't counter
It's a
your
Wednesday
chickens before they
morning. You're
hatch.
laying in bed because although you have to get up and pee and get ready for work, you don't have to pee and get ready for work that bad just yet. So you pop open your gacha games, you get your daily in-game currency, do a free summon, and oh damn, 5 stars. That's a specimen right there. He's almost as ripped as me. This is a good moment for you. Given the odds of success, you've won a small jackpot. However, it's worth noting that every Wednesday for the past month, and in fact every day for the past month, you have not pulled a 5-star unit, and yet here you are, playing the odds as you procrastinate starting your day. The reason for your behavior here is due, at least in part, to something called a variable reinforcement schedule. According to research by
I know what this is. This is... My therapist told me this once about a boy I liked.
Psychologist Charles Furster and B.F. Skinner, when we are rewarded for an action on a schedule, we are more or less likely to continue to do said action depending on that schedule. When we are rewarded for every time we do something, for example, what we would call a continuous reinforcement schedule, it builds an association for that action.
As opposed to that
if we step on
sexy
the pedal, the
indifference,
car
you
goes
know?
forward. But should we stop being rewarded for it, we will almost immediately stop trying it. Which is why if an ATM or a vending machine is broken, you aren't going to be itching to come back daily and see if it works.
But if it's sometimes...
However,
But if he
when we are
sometimes
rewarded
pays attention to you.
for an action, rewarded on a variable schedule, let's say, like only every few weeks, we're going to keep coming back quite a bit. Gacha games, slot machines, loot boxes, etc., all use variable reinforcement schedules to keep you coming back. You aren't going to win every single time you roll the dice, and this is exactly what makes the few times you do get reinforcement feel so good, and it's what makes parrying to the average player such a magnificent moment. Yes, I did use gacha games as a segue into parries. Every parry is a tiny lottery win, a juicy little jackpot, which is exactly why the
I'm sorry? He is not about to tell me. He is not about to tell me that parrying in the game that I am playing is f***ing chance. If it is not skill, no. 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 No, that's not what he's gonna say. No, that's not what he's saying. He's not saying it's chance. No. No. No.
To pull off tends to feel the best. The harder a counter is, i.e. the lower amount of active frames the animation has, in partnership with the skill it takes to know when to use said parry, keeps the amount of successful attempts to a minimum. Again, to the average player, I know these people exist, and if you're one of them, you're my hero. Thank you for watching. Pair that with the fact that most counters leave you exposed if you botch the timing, and it makes for a huge gamble every time you go for one. For example, most of the parries in Dark Souls have about 6 active frames, or about 1/10 of a second at 60 frames per second, where the parry will work, followed by around 16 recovery frames in the animation, where your buttons are about as useful as an old pair of windshield wipers during a tsunami. Meaning if you attempt this and fail to time it right,
you just fucking die!
But if you nail it, it means you can both stop their attack and follow up with some major damage. And this is pretty common of most of the counters you'll see, too early or too late with the timing, but it's that inherent risk that creates the thrill.
But the thing is, the thing that drives me f***ing crazy, the thing that makes me cuckoo bananas, is that sometimes I'm not trying to parry, I'm literally just trying to shield. Keep your shield. Why does he open up like that? I don't want to parry, I just want to protect myself, but instead, what does this god of war do? He just goes, hit me baby, one more time. My loneliness is killing me. You god of war.
The variable reinforcement schedule. If your parry worked almost every time, it would just be an expectation that it'll work instead of an earned surprise when it finally does.
Is it earned? Is it earned?
How I felt about Skyward Sword's shield bash. It seemed just a little too forgiving. Compared to Breath of the Wild's perfect guard, which does seem to have a really tight window and can get you killed, the Skyward Sword Shield Bash feels like something you'd spam rather than gamble with. Now, you should know, I could not find frame data on this. This is just the feeling I got from playing both games. This old Reddit post agreed, you guys mostly agreed, and I think that really is due to the fact that successful counters here aren't hard to come by and aren't that punishing if you mess up. The typical damage you take in Skyward Sword isn't remarkably brutal. Don't get me wrong, I love Skyward Sword. It has some of the best dungeons in the series to me, but the parry specifically, for me, could be better. A great example of a parry that truly is like gambling is the Yomi counter from Fantasy Strike. Yes, there is a window for this move to be executed, but you simply need to do nothing to make it happen. You just leave that window open when you see it. Essentially, if your opponent goes for a grab and you are just standing there, inputting nothing, it'll trigger and counter for a good bit of damage. No combo, no hitting a button with perfect timing, simply make an educated guess or bait block your opponent into grabbing and then let them walk into it. If you guess wrong, well, they hit you for free and you only have yourself to blame. It's incredibly punishing if you mess up, but a delight if you nail it. The same can be said of the parry in Fury, which will restore a little health if you land it, the counter in Ghost of Tsushima that leaves your opponent wide open, and the roughly 6 to 10 frame Street Fighter 3 parry, which negates all damage and was the only way Daigo could survive on this day. Parries are beautiful. And although I made the point that it's the risk and the scarcity with which most people land them that makes them special, there are things devs can do to keep players trying without making them easy. One strategy slot machines often employ to keep people coming back is something called a near miss. Have you ever seen the Yes, fire! Yeah, that's a near miss, but it keeps gamblers coming back because it tricks them.
But this is the thing, because the thing is... Sometimes I just want to f***ing shield!
...to thinking you're getting closer to a payout, even if payouts are still totally random and the only thing you're getting closer to is bankruptcy. And this exact thing occurs in games too, but not to get your money, well yes, to get your money, but also to tell you that you're actually getting close. In Dark Souls, if you go to parry just a few frames too early, you aren't immediately punished. You might get a partial parry, which doesn't actually counter the attack, but for your troubles, it will reduce the damage you take and keep you from going into block stun, which is better than being hit altogether. It lets you know you're close to
block stun. Is that what my idiot likes to do?
Try again. You've probably noticed that Breath of the Wild does something similar if you've ever tried to perfect guard a Guardian's Blast. Guilty Gear Strive, which is my favorite game of the year so far, has something called Instant Block, where if you hold back and begin your block within the first 2 frames of your opponent's attack, it prevents damage, reduces pushback to 0, and increases your tension meter. If you're too late, you get hit, but if you're too early, you're still blocking, so no harm done. Try again. All that to say, counters can be hard to pull off, but don't...
But like, I'm trying to do that, and I'm early, and instead of just shielding, what do I do? Yo, where's the kid? Where's the kid? The kid's better at this shit than me. The kid can't die. Bring the kid back.
These need to be extremely high risk in order to keep that variable reinforcement schedule. Much like crits in RPGs, successful parries are a wonderful surprise because unless you have a ton of practice, they don't happen often. Alright, we've talked about substance enough. Let's talk style. When you perform a melee counter in Metroid Samus Returns, it stops the foe's attack in its tracks, and it opens them up for some free offense. The same can be said of most counters. I'm in danger. Oh, sorry, did you drop this? Take it back, you motherfucker. But in Samus Returns, should you do this during certain bosses, it will begin a special animation that is 1, diesel as hell, and 2, an opportunity to really wail on these 3DS pixelated schmucks. And I think this is the other ingredient that makes these mechanics work free in my head. That ooey gooey hot melty goodness that we call feedback. Slow motion in Tsushima, that thundery buttery voice.
I hate the slow motion in God of War.
In Guilty Gear.
Because I'm always getting stabbed during that time.
That crunchy metallic clash sound in Sekiro, that crunchy metallic clash sound in lots of metal in these games. I'm preaching to the choir. You already know that the feedback is heavenly.
I don't.
But I really appreciate it.
I am not in the choir.
And give you something more. Like Metroid has the cutscenes and Jedi Fallen Order does the same if you nail 3 back-to-back counters against this dude. Delicious. If you deflect bosses in Sekiro and their posture meter maxes out, it'll open them up for a gruesomely gorgeous death blow. And in Monster Hunter World, if you land a counter claw move, you'll go flying, then be ziplined directly to the monster's head where you can start swinging away on them up close. The elite parries in games capitalize on the style from the audiovisual feedback and the substance of rewarding the player for pulling off something low percentage and clutch with an opportunity to deal major damage. And in a nutshell, this is exactly what makes a great parry.
I know. I keep realizing the same thing over and over again about myself, and then I forget it, and I'm being reminded of it now, and I'm gonna forget it again because it doesn't serve my anger, and I like things that serve my anger. I don't like being bad at things, and I want to be able to do something. Like, if it's possible to do it, why can't I do it every time? It's a skill issue. So I just need to develop the skill. But it's not consistent. But anyways, come let me yell at you on Twitch. I really like backseat gaming. Just in return, be prepared to take some of my ire.
Why it so perfectly encapsulates those moments we talked about at the beginning. Something incredible happens that changes the flow of the game in an instant. And if you'll indulge me one last time, I'd like to close this out by talking about something that surprised me when I was researching this video. As it turns out, there is an established research-backed phenomena that occurs within each of us during moments like these. I'd like to talk about psychological momentum.
Oh. Okay, yeah.
It's commonplace in basketball for a team or a player to get hot.
Yeah.
Maybe one big three-pointer is scored, and then suddenly the script of the game
begins. The last game I was playing in, my teammate was 7 for 10 from 3.
Are playing well, you might hear the commentators say something along the lines of, they need a spark.
Tampa Bay, they needed a play. Just takes that first one to go, folks.
Yeah,
and I know
easy
if
when
you've
it's
ever
easy.
been dominating in a game online, then suddenly made a mistake, the thought, oh no, what if I blow this, might have creeped into
and then,
and sure enough, now the other player or other team catches fire and
I know this. I play sports.
Just a moment ago, everything was going your way. These are all examples of momentum shifts.
Yes.
Strange little unseen but very much felt nudges by the hands of fate. Things that are talked about quite a bit.
Those are frustrating plays, especially up 10-0 there. Obviously changed the momentum of the game, and obviously weren't very efficient after that.
But in the real world, shouldn't matter. One good play, after all, doesn't equate to several good plays, and yet a single base hit can be the difference between an RBI to put your team back in it, or a blowout. A well-timed spot dodge can be the ignition to get this thing moving and get that blown stop.
It's actually so interesting. I'm just thinking about basketball now because as a coach, and I wonder, I don't think there's an equivalent to this in video games, right? I mean, I guess you could give yourself a timeout, but calling a timeout to end a run of another team in a basketball game, like, oh, just being able, it's so fulfilling as a coach to see that the other team is on a run, to see that your team is falling apart, and then to be like, okay, I'm gonna call a timeout. It's our ball. I have a play, the perfect play for this situation. I've run it in practice with my team. You give them a rest, you draw up the play, and they go out and execute it perfectly, and like, bang, huge momentum shift. Why? Me. I'm why. I did that. That's delicious.
A big response can give a player or a team an advantage for that particular moment, but the reason you so often see players go on a tear immediately following these moments is due to psychological momentum, which is the player's perception and reaction to said big play.
Yes, and I bet it's bigger in team sports. I bet that reaction is, and maybe in gaming too, I bet it's bigger because if you as a team can do this thing together, like it's like a feedback loop within the group that you, not only you scored or you got a stop or whatever, using my basketball analogy, but you also were all on the same page at the same time. Like that's almost like it's 2 wins, right? And that
You do something big and start feeling it, getting a spark, finding some momentum, taking a timeout to let things settle down when the other team has you on your heels are all things that have been talked about and believed by many for years now, but to find empirical research that supports this was mind-boggling for me. According to an NCBI meta-analysis, it essentially works like this. The initial success, the interception, the counter, the big moment, first makes you the player feel confident and competent. Okay, I'm doing something right. And because of this initial success, the player is then able to rely more on their automatic subconscious processes. In essence, doing well gets lots of people out of their head. And the more successes snowball after this point, the stronger the psychological momentum, or PM, grows. Of course, this does work in reverse. If you lose your rhythm, if something goes horribly wrong and you have that thought, oh no, what if I blow this? Then the momentum goes against you and you may stray away from your muscle memory and your unconscious processing that helps you play more naturally. It's the reason timeouts in basketball to stop a hot streak do work in a lot of cases, and why taking a timeout to get in the kicker's head right before a game-winning field goal often works as well. Sports psychologists do a lot of work with their clients to keep PM from working against them and instead help them take
the Venn diagram.
A big play can be pivotal, and when the energy of a game takes a 180, it
can we see Joey Bats in the bat toss or no?
To win.
You can only flirt with fire for so long.
Sorry.
Which brings me to the third and final reason that parries are so satisfying.
They're fine.
And they can spark psychological momentum. A well-timed counter gives you confidence. It can give you lightning in a bottle. It gives you a little string of fate tied to victory in a fight that you may not have thought you could win until now. There may have been games and will be games in the future where one counter was all you needed to get out of your head, string together some offense, and earn yourself a win. And look, I realize I'm being dramatic here, and this may be a stretch, but I'm a video essayist. This needs to sound absolutely bonkers to me because it is. PM is enough of a reason for teams to spend top dollar on sports psychologists. Enough of a reason for hot-seated coaches whose every decision is critically analyzed by fans and billionaire owners to put their jobs on the line and spend a precious timeout to stop the other team's hot streak. I don't think it's a stretch to say that if you land a parry, a reversal, a simple little down B, then you may absolutely trigger some PM and find yourself playing better in this match than you were before. Not just in the instant of the parry, mind you, but in the moments following as well. Which may be why it hurts so bad and in fact may hurt your performance once you've been countered. Momentum swings both ways, but unfortunately you can't call a timeout and Smash when you're struggling.
I call it timeout for myself sometimes in God of War.
My point is, parries are cool as hell, and to me at least, they are the perfect illustration, the ideal packaging of a sensation that has always given me goosebumps watching and playing sports growing up. Comebacks are what make competitions special. They're the stories we can't stop telling, and the fist-pumping moments we as natural competitors show up for. And the fact that there is a game mechanic that is designed to ignite that shift in momentum, as well as psychological research that supports the validity and utility of something that I've been feeling for so long now, makes me grin ear to ear. A lot of times, it seems all we need is a little push, a little something to go our way, a little turning of the tides, a little luck, a little jackpot.
I don't feel that about the parry in God of War, but I think...
Thanks as always.
I'll say what I think in a second.
Letting me gush over parries. This was a fun video to write, except for how many times I had to use the word parry. I want to take a moment to sincerely thank my friends over on Twitter and those who participate in the YouTube community posts. You guys made digging up examples for this video an absolute delight, and I love discovering the games and mechanics you are passionate about. If you don't want to miss out on future interactions like this, be sure to follow me on Twitter and watch out for the YouTube community posts. I'd also like to thank my wonderful Patreon backers, especially this month's featured patrons, Alan Strymon.
Great job, Alan.
Dom Louie.
Double thumbs up, Dom.
Macer V, or maybe Macer the 5th.
Macer the 5th.
Sammy Worlda. Lucas Still. King. Cube Master. And Lunatic Prophet. Thanks again
I like
for
to
watching.
think I'm a
Every day
lunatic
is going
prophet.
Exactly how you want it to.
Just kidding.
And if it's not, just keep your head up and keep on going. I'm sure your spark isn't.
Yeah, just trying to parry on life,
like
you
the
know?
video, share the video, subscribe if you like, and let me know
Okay.
what parries I didn't
So
mention.
I feel like my disconnect and problem with parries is that I don't fully understand how to do it and when to do it. So it's not that like I'm not always intentionally doing it, and that makes me so cranky when this quote unquote God of War is like, so that's how I feel about that. But I really felt very vindicated when the timeout and basketball thing came up. It's like the reverse of what happened with the fully articulate thing.
Well, how can you say you hate it when you haven't even finished it? How can your opinion be valid if you haven't given it a fair shot? Now that that's done, I can fully articulate why. I came across this because I found
Be able to properly articulate. So embarrassing. Why do I post this stuff on the interwebs for everyone? Because it's funny. I think it's funny too. I had fun making that clip. But this one was like, I feel vindicated. Okay, well, I will think more about this when I'm playing, which will probably be today when you're watching this. If you're watching this when it goes live on Sunday, I'm gonna try and stream Sunday afternoon at some point. Not sure when, probably between 1 and 3 I'll start. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys are all happy and healthy, taking care of yourselves and each other, being friends instead, and as always, until next time, may the force be with you. Live long and prosper. And I'll be back. And watch one of these for the algorithm. Thanks, bye!